EOAlive. This is the December the 28th version of AM Live on EOA Connected Oregon. Hey, Merry the day after Christmas.
It's more than a day. It's the second Monday today.
Yeah. Hey, Merry the day is right before New Year's.
Yeah. Let's skip weather today.
Really?
I would love to skip the weather today. Oh,
yeah, look at that.
Gosh, this is disgusting.
That's awful. Wow. I know.
I mean, I guess it could be worse. There's more snow on the west side of the state.
Did you did you watch, was there a Seattle game yesterday and they had a ton of snow on the field?
On Sunday.
Was that Sunday?
You're a day. You skipped a day, BC.
Man,
you just threw yesterday in the gutter.
Yeah.
Today's Tuesday.
Well, all I know is that Tanya and I were eating at Olive Garden, and Olive Garden is like boomer heaven. It really is. I mean, it's like, anyhow. So we're eating at Olive Garden, and
yeah, it's all you can eat: breadsticks and salad.
I know, isn't that all? And I realized that there was this game. I mean, they were showing the play, showing replays of the game and stuff, and it's like
Seattle.
That's in Seattle. That was crazy.
Yeah. Hey, BC, you want to hear a great joke about road construction in LeGrand?
Yeah.
Too bad it's not done yet. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Killing them on a Tuesday.
Man. All right. Well, while we're here, let's look at the weather.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wait, I just see isolated flurries. So not bad. It's cold. I mean, I can live with the cold. It's not the cold that really bothers me. It's the precipitation.
Yeah. Now tomorrow, look at that.
Yeah, it gets worse.
Yeah.
I think it got down to 7 last night, didn't it? Or
it was
close to
cold.
it.
I think it was
16 at 6 o'clock this morning when I got up.
It was how cold?
16 when I woke up. I checked my phone. 6 o'clock.
Wow.
Yeah. As long as it's a dry cold, I'm cool with that. I just don't want to walk out to an icicle of a car and have to, try to figure a way to get the door open and then have to scrape off an inch of ice. I'm not a fan of that. Yeah.
Did you ever have you keep your car in the garage when you grew up?
No, we didn't have a garage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of funny. No, it's funny. We had a garage, but it was always full of crap.
Right?
Yeah.
My parents' garage
now. Yeah. It was never and so
you can't even park a bike in there, let alone a car.
But Tanya's family, garages really are for cars. And it's like, and so and of course, her car goes like in the garage, so she doesn't have to scrape the snow and stuff.
I think that's an old person thing, because like my grandparents' generation, the caddy was always in the garage.
Yeah,
there was a turtle hanging down that hit the windshield, so grandma didn't run it into the wall, and it was always in the garage. But then that next generation, my parents' generation, that they used it like storage, like the Christmas decorations. Like nobody around. I mean, we didn't even have a garage growing up on the house on Washington Street when we moved here.
Well, yeah, no, and it's how with Tanya was like, so I had to get like the garage. I had to keep the garage has to be cleared enough to get the car in and out. That's a deal. Yeah,
that's a rule.
That's very much. Yeah.
Good morning, Jimmy. Yeah, it's cold. Yeah, man. I think it got single digits last night. If I had to have, if it was 16 at 6 o'clock this morning, it had to have gotten down to single digits last night.
Yeah. Well, hey, you guys, we're got a different setup. The McHaddads are with us here today. Andrew and Alex. You've met Alex. You've seen several times. Andrew, you have not. That's his father. And so in our audio, it's just a little bit stressed this morning. So give us some feedback. Not feedback. That's funny. But anyhow, give us if the audio is low or too high or something. we kind of need to know because we don't have an easy way of directly monitoring that.
We're trying to move back to bringing people back into the studio. It's just we started this show under COVID.
Right. Yeah.
And it's always been like this. I mean, we went to at the table for like 2 or 3 shows.
Yeah, not very many.
COVID came right back. I mean, so yeah, Jimmy said it was only 14 last night. That's still cold, man. That's cold enough to make all these old injuries hurt for sure. What do we got for sponsors? Fire them up.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So let's start with CHD.
CHD, right here, Public Health in LeGrand on Cove Avenue. They are taking reservations for appointments all week this week through Thursday. Business hours, all you got to do is call if you need a vaccination, any level. From the first to the booster and pediatric, give CHD Public Health right here in LeGrand a call.
And you can call and get tested or arrange to be tested also, I think. I saw that on one of their posts yesterday, and that's a big deal. I mean, people, they don't know whether they have it or not. And so I think there are they can help you with the testing also.
I'm done getting tested.
Yeah. And then Cam Designs
out there on the Island City Strip right next to Walmart, man, they're killing it. If you look at the sign for the local, if you look at our van, all the stuff that they're doing, and then not to mention they have the stoves, the high-end wood stoves for your house. They'll come, they'll check your chimney, they'll do service work on your chimney. Cam Designs right here in LeGrand on the Island City Strip. Go see their Facebook page or go see their website. Check out what they're doing.
Absolutely. All righty. Well, we're going to take a quick little break if I can find the right spot, and we will be back in a couple minutes.
Jeffy.
Yeah.
EOAlive is your connection to Eastern Oregon. Get the latest and most relevant news in 2 minutes or less with Megan Demersion on our evening news broadcast. We cover Eastern Oregon's weather daily with Gabe, the EOAlive weather kid, with an extended forecast every Friday. Watch Doddsy on EOAlive Sports to get the latest sports information and interviews with local coaches, athletes, and more. See Brent and Doddsy goof and gaff with local guests on EOAlive's morning talk show, AM on EOAlive. We're available across the board, including Facebook, YouTube, Amazon Fire, and of course, our very own website, EOAlive.tv. We even have our own Roku channel and 24/7 live streaming via Stream. You can also listen to our shows on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and many other popular podcast apps. You can get everything all in one place with the EOAlive app, available on Android, iOS, and the Amazon App Store. EOAlive, your connection to Eastern Oregon.
Hey, you guys, we're back. Yeah. So we'll have to, let's see. Well, let's go to this one. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. That's much better. Yeah. Tanya, I was referring in general. Not to you in particular. I thought you were at work.
No, she's off this week, so she could come in any moment.
Oh no.
All right. Again, our audio is a little crazy today. You're gonna it's just we're just dealing with stuff. Can you guys hear me okay?
I can.
All right. So sorry about the complications of all this and stuff, but hey, good to have you with us today. So, Andrew McHaddad is the father of Alex. You guys have met Alex many times, and it's good to have you with us, Andrew. You and I have,
It's good to be here.
yeah, you and I have talked several times, and Andrew is a professional audio engineer that works in the Hollywood industry. Is that a overgeneralization?
Yeah, it's I live and work in the LA area, but my efforts take me around the world.
Yeah, right. and so and in the video in my business, when you run into a professional engineer, whether that be audio or video, it's a little bit like you hear the heavenly sounds when they come in. Oh yeah, because there's what I'm a gear guy and I jam a lot of stuff together, but it's a whole nother level when someone, I mean, that's all they do. They spend their whole life doing that. And so Andrew, kind of tell us a little bit about how you got started, and I don't even know that I know that story. Yeah.
Okay, well, I got started. It was a Van Nuys Junior High. I had signed up for a typing class. That's how long ago I was in school. They had a typing class back then. It wasn't called keyboarding. And the counselor called me in and said, "You're the only one that signed up for the typing class, so you have to pick a different elective. You can take metal shop, wood shop, or home ec, or stage crew." And I had just taken wood shop and metal shop, and I'd already taken the other one. So I went to stage crew. And when I got there, it was basically carpentry, building sets and flats and that sort of thing. And then there was a girls' dance class recital coming up, and the teacher asked who wanted to run lighting, and everybody in stage crew raised their hand. And then said, who wants to do props, and everybody in stage crew raised their hand. And then he said, who wants to do sound, and nobody raised their hand. And I went, I'll do it, because I'm a very non-competitive person. And that's how I got into sound, 13 years old. Started mixing sound in my parents' church, mixed there for 4 or 5 years, till I was 17. And then out of high school, got a job doing sound for private parties, and then just kind of worked my way up into the union, and then doing sitcoms and talk shows, kind of like what I'm doing right now. But I was the technician wiring up the talent, not the person wearing the mic. And then I just kind of grew out of that.
Wow. So how did you get your first professional gig? How did that happen?
Well, my first paid gig was just out of high school. I was doing sound for private parties for DJs playing music at bar mitzvahs and school dances and that sort of thing. And one of the events that we had to do required an enormous amount of audio cable, like more cable than we kept at the small company where I worked. So we rented it from another company down the street that did much larger events. And when I went back to return the cable after we rented it, I kind of shared with whoever was at the counter that I know how to solder, that I was good with electronics and I was good with fixing things. And I left my phone number, and a couple of weeks later they called me up and said, if you can solder, we've got a big soldering job for you. We've got to build a bunch of audio cables for an aerospace company that we have a contract with to make cables for. So if you can come in this summer, you can sit at a bench and make audio cables for us. And that was where that was my second job. That company happened to be the preferred vendor for the music playback and public address system for Hollywood award shows, which I didn't really realize. But they would do all these big shows in Hollywood, and I'd be back at the shop like making cables. And then eventually I worked my way into going to the job sites. So I was backstage at like the American Music Awards or the Oscars and things like that as a soldering technician. I wasn't really involved in the show. I was just fixing things in the corner. But it got me at a really young age engaged in that kind of vision and that kind of workflow. So I was exposed to it at a very young age. Even though I was very much in the periphery of it, I was deep in it. And that's what helped me get my vision for how it all works without having to be really super knowledgeable about it all. It was a great place to start.
Well, talk for a minute, Andrew, about maybe I don't know. I mean, you've been doing this at this level for a while. Kind of maybe some of the events that people would recognize that you do, and then maybe I don't know, some of like probably the coolest, biggest event that you were ever involved in.
Well, am I allowed to mention the events by name?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I've worked on the Oscars since 2001. It's about 19 years there until the pandemic hit. We haven't done it that way. I was involved in a certain capacity with the show, and that part of the show went away with the pandemic, so I haven't done it the last 2 years. I've done a couple Super Bowls, a couple Olympics back in 2008 in China. I worked for the NBC Aquatic Center coverage. Let's see, just every award show in Hollywood at some point I've worked on in some capacity, which isn't unusual. There are a lot of, it's sort of like carnival workers. We always see the same people every year at the same event. You go, hey Charlie, hey Joe, hey Steve, and then you don't see them again for a year, or you see them every 3 months on another event. So the relationship issue is kind of funny. It's called a show guy-itis. It's like, hey buddy, I know you. I forget your name, but hey, it's good to see you. So all the shows, Golden Globes and Oscars and Screen Actors Guild, that sort of thing. A lot of sporting events. The craziest thing I've ever done, though, that's I guess that would be the shark watch. So I worked on a show. I spent 2 weeks on a dive boat in the Mexican waters, doing live broadcasting with the announcer underwater in a shark cage. It went from the boat where I was stationed with about 5 other engineers and some of the hosts for the show. We had the boat transmitting to a nearby island mountaintop, and from the mountaintop they built a temporary satellite uplink station that shot to a satellite that went to San Diego, the Scripps Oceanic Center, where they were doing some other content creation. They sent that back to the BBC in London to air it live. So I had an announcer in the water in a shark cage talking to people in London while the sharks were swimming by. That was probably the craziest setup I ever had to go through. It was pretty challenging, but really satisfying. But I do get seasick, so I was kind of glad it was over.
So, but there are times where you experience a lot of what was happening right before this show is, can you hear me? Hey, is there an echo? That's like your whole life.
Oh yeah. It's our audience that's listening right now probably isn't aware of how close some television shows come to never making it. They always do, but sometimes it's like, jack it in right now. Okay, got it, and you can go. It all looks totally normal on the air, but it's like a duck swimming. It looks like it's perfectly calm, but the feet are like spinning madly under the water. There's a lot of that in business.
Oh, I know that feeling.
The clock's ticking. You got to be done by X moment in time.
There was a lot of that this morning.
Yeah.
Hey, let's just roll through some of these photos real quick, and then we'll come back to Alex here in just a minute. So
that's a picture of me. See, that was in Ecuador. This first one right here is me at Super Bowl 2019. I forget the number of the Super Bowl, but I know it was in 2019. I'm in a hotel ballroom where we set up a really, really large, we call a fly pack, which is a television production facility that lives in aircraft rated flight cases that you can ship around the world, and then you wire them all together and it becomes a television facility. And then when you're done, you break it all up, you put it back in the plane, you fly it back to wherever it sits. And that's the kind of package that I would normally go to. Like this year I was in Japan for the Olympics, or I was a variety of places around the country, et cetera, this year and previous years. So this is in Ecuador when the Pope visited. This is another hotel ballroom that we set up an entire network operations center in. Everything's wired up temporarily, and when we're done, it just becomes an empty room again. So my specialty is voice communication systems, which allows all of the crew members and the talent to talk to each other. So what you're looking at there is my control center station with the equipment that I manage to allow different cities in Ecuador to talk to our control room through satellite or phone lines and all that's traveling internationally, trying to talk tech when I don't know Spanish and trying to tell people technical things in another language is very fatiguing. These were exhausting days of just the simplest thing trying to communicate can just make your mind numb. Oh, okay. So I've been in this business for 35 years or so professionally. And in that time, you kind of grow into a lot of unique things pop up. So this is a sign on a restaurant. I believe this was a restaurant sign in Churchill, Canada, at the western shore of Hudson Bay, where I was called upon to set up a camera and a microphone on top of the roof of the Northern Studies Institute for an organization called explore.org that puts up wildlife cameras around the world so that people can observe faraway experiences of animals and natural phenomenon on the web.
No.
So this was the warning, I think, about polar bears that you had to watch out for as you walked around the city.
I'm out.
Yeah, that's the camera that we put up on the roof. So you can see the microphone is that gray little cylinder right below it. That was like my job, was making sure the microphone signal worked and got to the internet so people could listen to the wind as they watched the northern lights. That one, I don't.
That's the warning. Don't go on the roof.
Oh, yes. So again, in my line of business, you get to go places you just don't normally get to go. So we had to go on the roof. There's this big warning on the side of the staircase. Nobody ever goes up here ever. Don't even think about it.
This means
it's like, okay, this means I have to go up there. That's what my job is. It's always going someplace where nobody else gets to go because that's where that weird stuff happens. It's always been very clever in that way. I've really appreciated the things I've gotten to see because of where my job takes me, whether it's a jet propulsion laboratory or the roof of a rocket launching facility, because that's where they need intercom or they need something to happen in manufacturing that's bizarre and unique. I get called in. So let's see, that's my position at the Oscars one year. I forget what year that is, but we set that up essentially the same way for about 15 years straight. And that's the domestic press compound. All the people that are covering the event for press, all the news outlets, have to park their satellite trucks in a big compound like a couple blocks away from the event, and all their signals have to get to and from the red carpet and into the venue. And that this is all the voice communication circuits that have to allow their reporters on the red carpet to talk to their satellite truck blocks away. So that's my role in that photo.
Wow.
Again, same place, different year. I almost wore that same jacket though. So this is me in the Lego store in London for the 2012 Olympics. My kids at that time were, well, they still are. Alex still plays with Legos. It's great.
You know it.
So I just thought a good shot of me at the Lego store in London would be fun to send home to the kids. Like the same place, the Tower of London, right? London Bridge. By the way, if you guys like Southern barbecue and you're ever in London, there's a great Southern barbecue place right there. They completely copied identically Southern barbecue. It was great. Really, really tasty. Okay, so besides entertainment and sports, this is backstage at the Democratic debate at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles. A year?
2020.
2020. So this is backstage, kind of the technology farm back behind the curtain at the Democratic debate, presidential debate. And I'm not in this photo because I'm taking it, but I would be one of the gentlemen or people that are kind of working some of that equipment there, allowing the show to run smoothly and get on the air.
Wow. That's
cool.
pretty cool.
Politics, sports, entertainment, adventure cameras, manufacturing, space and science stuff. Everybody has to talk to each other. That's what's most amazing is there's so few enterprises that we do in life these days that don't require people talking well and talking efficiently. And that's my specialty, is figuring out ways to help people communicate and do their job. It's very satisfying. Very satisfying.
Funny. I was telling Kyle the other day, it's just that putting a mic on someone and getting them into the program is pretty simple. It's them hearing, it's monitoring, you know. that is where it gets really complicated.
Yep.
Don't get
It's
me
a
wrong.
good thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say it's a good thing we talk in enterprise because we don't socially. We don't. I mean, people use this.
Right.
Yeah.
Crazy world.
All right, and then a couple more pictures.
Oh,
So here's
This is it.
Okay, Alex, this is your time to shine.
My time to shine. Yeah, so this is me at E3, Electronics Entertainment Expo, in 2011. So that's 10 years ago now. I was 17, joining him on one of many shows that he allowed me to follow him along to. That was a really fun one because I got to just kind of walk around the whole thing and see all the new video games and devices that were coming out. And we did a lot of that way back in the day when I still lived in LA.
Yeah.
Yep.
When, the first show they brought me to was a red carpet event for one of the Hollywood award shows. The person that was supposed to do the job was double booked or sick. I can't remember exactly. And I got this emergency call to show up to do that job like the night before, and my wife was going to be out of town. So I was going to be Mr. Mom all weekend, and I told the person on the phone talking to me about it, the tech manager, his name was Brian. He goes, Andrew, I need you. I'm like, I'm taking care of my kids all week, and I can't do a show. It's like, I need someone. I have to have, like, okay, I have to bring my kids, and they're 5, 6, and 7 years old, or 3, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
So they were like small children at the time, And I said, I'm gonna have to bring them, and I'm gonna have to park my big truck. I have a crew cab Ford truck. To the 3 kids, that was like a gymnasium-sized vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
It was huge
Easily.
on the inside. And I could park it right next to the TV truck, right next to the craft services area, which is where all the snacks are kept for the crew. So like every half hour, the kids would kind of tumble out of the truck and go over and grab a bunch of candy and take it back into the truck for that day. So
I remember that.
That was a good introduction. I ended up staying with that customer for over a decade, doing that same job. 12 years I did award shows with them. Really a great relationship. Very good time. But that started with, I got to bring my kids.
Yeah.
Got to bring the people I love. I can't just put work before. So they respected that and honored it. It was great.
wow.
Cool.
Yeah, I could say something about that. It's something that he impressed upon me for a very long time, is that he's gone all over the world and all these crazy things. He's swimming with sharks. He's on the Great Wall of China. He's at the Olympics several times in a row. And when the Super Bowl has tech support problems you see on TV, he gets the phone call as we're sitting there watching it. And he's like, yeah, the only thing I really want to be doing right now is being at home with family. I want to chill out with you. I want to play with our cats. That's what I want to really be doing right now. He's, as he says this, as he's in China at the Olympics, like he's really made sure that he knows that we all know that family is the most important thing. Even through all the cool things I've done, I'm like, yeah, I'd much rather be chilling at home with family, or that kind of thing.
I always tell my wife when I'm leaving on a trip that every time I leave, it's really just to come back. My goal right now is just to make a big loop and end up right here at this door again, because all the stuff is just stuff. But the people that sacrifice for you and show you affection and difference, that's the money shot, as they say in the business, is your family.
What was the other thing you said? Is that all I'm doing here for this work is just to subsidize my addiction to my family?
That's right. My job funds my addiction to my family. That's what I'm really addicted to.
So that and that's so significant. And you were telling me before we went live, Andrew, that this year you've spent 100 days on the road. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And I don't travel as much as a lot of my coworkers do. That travel, that's the job they signed up for, was a travel type job where they're only home maybe 100 days a year. So I consider myself very fortunate to be in that kind of a sweet spot, depending on the year, where I get to travel enough to get tired of it, but then can go back to an office and a shop and a workbench and do things that don't require me to be gone. And so I'm really in a blessed spot.
Yeah. So Alex, how has all of this tech stuff influenced you over the course of your life? How has that been to have such a techie dad?
Well, I could solder before I could walk. I can tell you that. We were learning how to build electronic equipment for him. Basically as early as we could, and yeah, I learned how to put together circuit boards and all sorts of things. My first job was working for him, building equipment that was used for pro football games. And it's just always kind of been around, a lot of elementary school events. There are multimedia things like talent shows and stuff, and they all need volunteers, usually parent volunteers, to help out. And as my dad was always so engrossed in that, that was something that I ended up doing. We would volunteer together at these school events. I wouldn't be in the talent show. He and I would be behind the soundboard making the talent show happen, and that's stuff I started probably in 4th or 5th grade alongside him doing that. And the other fun thing we did in elementary school, my first real television gig, I guess we could call it, my elementary school had a closed circuit television morning news program that they did. And he came in, of course, he's like, "Ooh, kids doing television, I want to do that too." So he would be there helping make things work. The funny bit that happened there was a newspaper article in a small town. A newspaper comes in and goes, "Hey, we want to do an article about this," and they interview all the kids. And if you go and find it, it's Santa Clarita Valley Signal from like 2005 or 2006. They're like, "Oh, this little kid is following his father's footsteps in television. Is this what you do for a career?" I said, "No, I want to work in politics," which ended up going a very interesting direction, because now here I am, a television journalist for my career.
A mix of both.
A mix of both. I interview politicians, and I help make all of the fun tech stuff work in the background. I used to manage the Blue Mountain Translator District, which is a government agency that just does television stuff. My background understanding how television works really played into my formal undergrad education with public administration. I was the only person in the state who knew how to translate worked and knew how to write a budget. But now I'm just focusing more on the news stuff and the tech stuff, because it's a lot less cumbersome.
Yeah. Well, and you've been really significant for us in the last 9 months. I've kind of lost track of getting our app going, getting us on Roku, which was that was probably the most significant thing that's happened in a while for us. And so people can watch this show and others and have a traditional TV viewing experience with our Roku channel. And it was funny, I was just in Spokane this last weekend, and I added it to the Roku that was there, and it's like, yeah, it works. It's just awesome. So, and
pretty satisfying.
Yeah, and then writing the news. You're our news director, and it's a huge relief for me when I get an email to kind of forward that on to you, and not have to deal with that. And in fact, why don't we deal with a little bit of news birthdays real quick, Alex? Because you were on the news side of this. So this is Ladima. Did I say that right?
Yeah. So Wildflower Lodge here in La Grande is having a centennial birthday celebration today at 12.
Okay.
So it's two different ladies who have reached very, very certain ages. So one of them is turning 105, and the other one's turning 100, and they're just kind of inviting people to come and join them. I think this is Mildred. Because 5 years ago, OTEC published an article about her in the Rural Light, and because thousands of people across the country sent her birthday cards when she turned 100. So now she's hitting 105 and wants to celebrate with everybody.
Yeah. So
105?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We should
one
be
is
so
104. One is
I don't know about
104,
that.
and one's 104, and the other one's 105. And
Yeah.
And their birthdays are both today. Is that right?
They're celebrating today. I don't know if it's their birthday proper.
Yeah.
It's still a long time ago.
Oh man.
That means that if she's 105, she's born in 1916,
Woodrow Wilson, president.
before the Great Depression.
Before interstates. Before the internet.
Before the internet. Yeah.
I was born before the internet.
Me too.
BC was born before the telegraph.
Hey.
Wow.
BC got his first note via the horses. What were those?
Pony Express?
That's how he got his birth certificate.
You say probably the most fun intersection I think I've had this year between television and news and politics and all that is that I've interviewed 12 candidates for governor of 4 different political affiliations: Republican, Democrat, Constitution Party, and there's a non-affiliated candidate who's come on the show. And the coolest part about that has been, or the funnest part about that has been the lightning round. I always ask everybody, Ducks or Beavers? You got to let the voters know, your real football preference here, because Oregon doesn't really have football other than that. And then you got to talk about what's your favorite Oregon landmark, so they know, and what's your favorite Eastern Oregon landmark? That one stumps a few people. The other one is your favorite Oregon beer.
Wait. Put me on screen, Benny. What did you just say?
What?
You said Oregon doesn't really have football besides that?
College football.
Mount up.
I said college football.
Mount up.
College football.
EOU Mounties. Mount up.
We don't have pro ball. We have college ball.
No, you said we don't really have football besides the Ducks and the Beavers.
No,
Mount up.
I meant like college ball.
Alex, just say sorry.
That is college.
Just say you're sorry.
Alex,
Okay, well, I'm all about the Portland State Vikings, so.
I love their coach. Bruce Barnum is the man. Portland State coach. I've interviewed him. He's absolutely fantastic.
I'm also a Vol because I was born in Tennessee, so what you gonna do?
Oh, they're terrible.
How dare
They
you?
used to be good about 15 years ago.
I think that's when we
Mounties
left.
might be
Yeah,
able
that's
to
probably
beat
when we left, yeah.
Didn't they win a Super Bowl their first year as the Titans? The Titans that won, right? But when they were first year,
the
they
Music
were
City Miracle. I don't know if it was the first year, but it was right.
like very
Yes.
close to the beginning, right? When they first
I don't
inception of it.
remember. Yeah, it was close.
Yeah.
But how do we go from talking about the Vols to the Titans?
Well, you brought up the question he asked in the lightning round
Oh,
about
Oh,
your
yeah.
favorite.
Yeah,
Well, we
so
were talking
Tennessee at
college
least
football.
has a pro ball team.
that's
Yeah.
true.
When I say we don't have a lot of football, I meant,
Yeah,
All right.
I
So,
knew
in
I knew what you meant.
2016, I was at a debate with Kate Brown, Bud Pierce, and whoever the independent candidate was, and they asked each candidate Ducks or Beavers, and I think Bud Pierce said both. One of them said Beavers, and Kate Brown said EOU volleyball. They just won their national championship.
She did?
2016.
She said EOU volleyball?
That was her favorite football team.
Mount
Yeah.
up.
That was her opportunity for a shameless
Hey.
plug.
Yeah,
for
shameless
volleyball.
plug. Yeah,
That's
Hey,
fine.
I'm
she
good
made-
with that.
one
Any
campaign
opportunity.
stop in Eastern Oregon, but she made sure to.
She really said that?
Yeah.
She knows about EOU volleyball?
Apparently,
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Some renown.
So
Yeah.
you were, but I think Alex, you were getting ready to say something about the lightning round.
Oh yeah, well I just shameless plug for EO Talks. This Monday night, yesterday we released a supercut of all 12 lightning rounds we've done this year. So if you want to learn more about everybody's favorite Oregon beer and hope that determines whether or not they should be your governor, this is the place to go.
What was the craziest answer you got in the lightning round?
Craziest answer in the lightning round?
Yeah.
Um,
Tell me it was the guy with all the American flags behind him. What was his name?
Paul Romero, Constitution Party.
Had to have been him.
Yeah, his was actually okay. I don't think there was anything like really crazy because a lot of people had really nice things to say. They're mostly people from Oregon. One person said there was a place they'd never been before they really want to go, so they said that was their favorite Oregon landmark and their favorite place in Eastern Oregon because it's over here.
They've never been there,
They've never been there.
but they've always wanted to.
What's your favorite place in Eastern Oregon? This place I want to go to, but I've never visited. Okay.
I think I saw that one. It was she was talking about like a place over here. Like
Yeah,
Oh,
there's some
come
sort of
on.
glass house.
yeah. I looked that up after I saw that, and I'd never heard of it before.
But
Yeah.
that's her whole point.
Yeah.
That let's let people know what's good about this place. So
Yeah.
even you didn't even know about it. And
What was
now
the
you know.
best answer? What was your favorite answer in the lightning round?
Favorite answer in the lightning round? Ooh, let's see. I think Jessica Gomez said LeGrand was her favorite place. So thank you, Jessica.
Do you think that was like a
In
little
Eastern
bit
Oregon?
of what do we call it for Scarfo?
We,
Bootlicking? You think that was a little bootlicking?
I think there might have been just kind of like the furthest place. There were a couple candidates like that. Timothy Harold, who's from the Portland area, the unaffiliated candidate. He said his favorite place was like Hermiston because like he's just been there. It's like okay, well, I don't think anybody thinks Hermiston is their favorite place in Oregon. or Eastern Oregon.
There are people there listening to this.
Yeah, sure.
Hermiston's grown a lot since
Yeah.
I was a kid.
They're in a different house district, so it doesn't.
Hermiston has grown substantially in the last 20 years. I mean, they used to be the same size as us. Now they're 4 times as big as us or 3 times as big as us.
Yeah. Let's do another supercut. The other fun question I ask everybody is, who is your favorite Oregon historical figure? And only one person hasn't been able to answer.
No, we can keep that quiet because we don't want to embarrass him, right?
Well, go back and watch all of them so you know.
You can watch
You can watch the supercuts.
Yeah, watch the
Supercuts.
supercuts.
You find out.
So, Alex, what kind of turned you on to politics so intensely? What and when did that start?
So, when we were little, my parents were very focused on literacy. They made sure we were able to read as soon as possible, and from there, me and my brothers each had like a college reading level by 2nd grade. So,
Okay, not
Yeah.
college by 2nd grade.
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah, remember?
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good. Yeah, yeah. They read to us. I was always addicted to stories. I just loved reading about things, and then I kind of I got turned on to history as an interesting subject in 4th grade because there was a class competition. We were divided into teams. We were playing like some sort of Jeopardy about California history, and I found out that just by studying it, my brain just contextualized everything as a story, and I memorized everything instantly, just like I had Treasure Island or any other book I had read at that point in time.
That history
History
like
was
the story. That
the
you
story.
read.
I was like, oh, well, I can do this. It's just like, the books I read normally, except it's real. And I just started reading every history book I could find. And what came to me, the epiphany I had in 4th grade was like, I want to be in the history books. I want there to be stories about me, or at least I want to see those stories up close. So that's it. It was in 4th grade when I decided I want to, have a career in, public policy, that kind of public space. I want there to be books written about me. And you go to that article in the newspaper. Do you want to be in television? No, I want to be in politics. It's because I wanted, to be in the history book, to see that history happen up close. There's a lot more books about presidents than there are about, television engineers, sadly.
Yes, sadly, nobody really reads about me.
Yeah, there are a lot more television engineers than presidents, so you think it'd be the other way around. But
Yeah, skewing the curve.
Yeah.
Statistically, there should be a lot of books about someone like me versus presidents. But
yeah. I have been able to see a lot of this history stuff up close, whether it's working on campaigns or my involvement in political party leadership, and especially this year as a journalist. I've got to know all these, candidates for governor on a first name basis. We text each other and talk about, campaign updates. It's really cool. So I get to see all this history up close. That thing about the volleyball game. If I wasn't watching that debate, I wouldn't know that. But I was in the room listening to this debate happen and go, hey, Doddsy, there was this thing that happened with, Kate Brown talking about EOU volleyball. So
I think it comes down to relevance.
Yeah.
I think everybody seeks relevance in their life. Like, no one wants to be in a space where they don't make any difference, where it just doesn't matter if they're there. And I've always kind of gravitated towards being in a place where, not that I matter like Andrew matters, but the task I'm doing matters, and I just happen to be the person kind of doing it. So there's other people that could journal kind of what Alex has been doing, but he's been blessed with this mind that can just remember everything. I mean, he tells me stuff that I forget I taught him. Like, I taught you that? He goes, yeah, sometime in 4th grade you taught me that. I'm like, I don't remember knowing it. But that's he's remembered more than I've forgotten, I guess. Isn't that the phrase or something like that?
there you go.
So he can recall quips and comments that I've made when he was in elementary school. I'm like, wow, I was that smart back then?
Yeah.
Cool. I got to keep him around.
So I don't remember everything. I just remember a lot. I think one cool story I can tell you, one of the coolest places our cross have passed professionally is that in 2016, I was working for Bud Pierce, who was the Republican candidate for governor. If you know Bud personally, not a lot of people do, he's a politician, but he is a rabid Trailblazers fan. He loves the Blazers. He and his late wife had season tickets. Every time we'd get done with a big campaign event, whether it was a debate or you just get off the phone with Lars Larson, he'd be like, all right, no more of this. What's the real stuff happening? He'd open up his app and look at, the Blazers. How are they doing today? That was his hobby. It's just he loved Blazers basketball. And my dad, right before the election in 2016, was working on a show in the Moda Center that had to do with live sports. So I was in Portland that day with the candidate. He was there. I was like, hey, can we go in the Moda Center and kind of see what's going on behind the scenes? And we ended up getting permission. So I was able to bring this candidate for governor to an event that he did. So our paths crossed professionally because he happened to be in Portland. And
Yeah,
it all worked out.
I arranged with management at the Moda Center, right? To have some security and some presence there for a candidate to show up. It was kind of this under the radar kind of thing. It was kind of a cool vibe to bring him in. We walked the candidate through the TV truck, and he met the engineers and talked about the science. It was virtual reality web streaming, so we had 3D cameras with point of view capability for all the viewers and things like that. So it was a very high tech event. And he got to meet. It was basketball, right? Was the Blazers there?
Yep.
Okay, so he did.
It was for a Trailblazers game.
Right. So he was there behind the scenes at his favorite hobby, like interacting with what was going on. So he got a big kick out of that. That was great to see my son in a suit in the black Suburban driving the gubernatorial candidate around, and it was a big thrill for me to kind of experience him at his public best like that.
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, we're really good people to have as friends. We can get you places.
I don't have a sports story that good, but the janitor at Gonzaga let us in at like 9 o'clock at night into the kennel.
Ooh, nice.
Like the whole EOU basketball team in, and we were the only ones in there. It was kind of cool. It was an old Russian janitor. He unlocked the door and he said, "Go ahead." That's all I got.
Yeah. Had you gone through the actual official process to get in, it would have been like
we
this.
wouldn't have got in.
No, yeah.
Yep.
Even though they were playing them the next day, we would have never got in. Probably get in trouble if somebody finds out, even though I posted a bunch of pictures on social media.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, he doesn't have any job anymore. It's your fault.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
I plead the fifth.
Well, thanks, you guys. So nice to have you. And Alex, just a blessing to have you as a part of our team. And Andrew, nice to have you as one of my friends.
Yeah, thank you. Very nice.
And
Yeah,
one of my
appreciate
having us.
Yeah. When I have a buzz, like, Andrew, I can't find this buzz.
Like the one in my ear.
Speed dial.
Yeah.
Speed dial.
Like I said, we're very good friends to have.
Yeah, no, it's just it's so cool for you guys to be a part of us and be here, and always a pleasure to be able to connect and share. So, well, hey, let's leave them here while you run us through your stuff, Kyle.
Oh, you want to leave him up there? Well, first let me say hi to Craig because we missed him. Craig, good morning. I don't know if you're still watching, but let's get through on this day. There was a lot today, so I just picked out a few. On this day, December 28th, 1612, Galileo first saw Neptune. He recorded it as a fixed star without realizing it was a planet. On this day in 1732, Benjamin Franklin, under the pseudonym Richard Saunders, begins publication of Poor Richard's Almanac. 1732. On this day in 1860, December 28th, Harriet Tubman arrived in Auburn, New York, on her last mission to free slaves, having evaded capture for 8 years on the Underground Railroad. On this day in 1912, the first municipally owned streetcars took to the streets of San Francisco, California. On this day in 1934, the film Bright Eye with Shirley Temple premiered. The interesting thing about that is the film Bright Eyes had the song On the Good Ship Lollipop. 1958, Chipmunks, Alvin Simon Theodore with David Seville hits #1 for the first time. On this day in 1981, first American test tube baby ever, Elizabeth Jordan Carr, is born in Norfolk, Virginia. Wouldn't that be weird to have you're known as the first test tube baby?
Yeah.
On this day in 2002, LinkedIn is founded by Reid Hoffman and a few other people in Mountain View, California. LinkedIn's a pretty popular social job app. On this day in 2001, the #1 song, what do you think it was? I had to go to 2001 because all the ones were all still the same. BC.
I have no idea.
It's Nickelback. Oh,
Oh.
gosh. Nickelback. Whoa, that's rough.
Why would you add that
And
to
the
the
song was How You Remind Me.
Why do people
Oh.
hate Nickelback? I don't get
I
that.
don't know. I don't hate them. I'm just not a huge fan. And then the quote for the day before we get you out of here, Ralph Waldo Emerson. It is one of the blessings of old friends that you can afford to be stupid with them. One more time. It is one of the blessings of old friends that you can afford to be stupid with them. Ralph Waldo Emerson.
I agree with that. Yeah. The longer you know somebody, the stupider you can be with them.
Absolutely. Hey, you have to have that friend where you can be like, hey, I need you to pick me up now, and they don't ask any questions. You're just.
So Wendy McHaddad.
Yep, that's Mom.
That's Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
All
I love
right.
you.
Hi, Mom.
Eastern Oregon. We're coming back on Thursday.
Yep, we'll be here. We'll do some. Don't forget that on New Year's Eve, there's the ball drop downtown LeGrand. Very cool event. We'll be talking more about that on Thursday. But yep.
See you on Thursday.
Yep. If I can find the outro.
It's the button on your left.
Okay. All right. Talk soon.